Abigail, defense and trade clearly on the agenda for the Prime Minister. Tell us more about what we heard from Mark Carney.
Defense, trade, and energy. That is the three-pronged focus of the Prime Minister's stop here in Poland. And as I think many of our viewers know, Poland is one of 4 countries that the Prime Minister is visiting here in Europe on this 5-day trip. After a trip to Ukraine yesterday for Ukrainian Independence Day. But back to Poland here, you see Prime Minister Carney with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. It's interesting to hear the word new in terms of an agreement here. We spent a lot of time parsing that this morning because a year ago, I was here actually as well when former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau signed an agreement with Prime Minister Tusk. And there was no new signing today. This is not really a new agreement. I asked an official whether this was more like renewing our wedding vows here. And I was half joking, but I think that's actually more close to what happened here. So we're talking about looking at that agreement through a new lens, the new lens of what is going on geopolitically, what is going on with Canada, looking to diversify trade in the face of a trade war with the United States. And so the answer that came back from the Prime Minister's office in terms of that renewal of vows was that this was looking at the agreement with a new lens. And those 3 areas, again, are trade, energy, and defense. You mentioned Poland being the fastest growing economy in the EU. Canada also looking to increase defense spending to hit those NATO targets. Poland has one of the biggest ratios in NATO in terms of its own defense spending. That allows for opportunities for Poland to buy from Canada for its defense industry. You mentioned Canada being the lead nation at a sort of defense expo happening in Poland next year. So a lot of opportunities there. The Prime Minister looking to expand ties with Poland. And in his first comments off the top, I think worth noting, the Prime Minister mentioned how he's known Donald Tusk ever since Prime Minister Mark Carney was governor of the Bank of England and Prime Minister Tusk at the time president of the European Council. So the point being there, we know that our Prime Minister has connections to Europe through his CV, his history, looking to mine some of those connections as Canada looks to deepen our relationship with European allies.
Yeah. And I think it's worth noting there's a certain comfort level you see with the Prime Minister when making these visits. So Abigail, you nailed the analogy there with renewing the vows. What is next for the Prime Minister on this trip? Where's he going next and why?
Okay, so next up is Berlin. In fact, I said we had to get out of this hit in just a few minutes because we're about to head to the airport to head to Berlin. We've still got some time there, but going to Berlin next, the Prime Minister visiting Germany, talking about trade, particularly critical minerals. His industry minister and natural resources ministers will be joining him for that portion of the trip in Germany. And then after Germany comes Latvia. The Prime Minister met with Canadian troops in Warsaw today who are serving as part of Operation Unifier that helps train Ukrainian soldiers. And in the Latvia portion of the trip, the Prime Minister will be meeting Canadian troops again in Latvia, part of Operation Reassurance. I bring up defense because this whole trip is twofold. It's about trade and it's about defense. And worth noting that the defense minister, David McGuinty, is also accompanying for the entire trip. He was there in Ukraine. He was here in Warsaw today, and we'll see him on the remainder of the trip as well. And we asked David McGuinty in a scrum this morning about that. This is really a change, to see a defense minister at the table for a number of bilateral meetings at a number of stops on a trip like this. And McGuinty said that this is a changing landscape. The geopolitics are different. The landscape of the world is changing, and that in his 3 months on the job, he said he's seen this from countries all around the world, that defense ministers are at the table for these types of meetings. So that stood out to me this morning, and we'll be watching that throughout the rest of the trip.
Abigail, thanks for all that reporting. Please do not miss your flight. Abigail Bimman joining us this morning.